What's going on, world? My name is Serial Sensei, and I'm here with 6 more hidden gems on the Nintendo Switch. Thank you for everybody who watched part 1 based on the feedback. Seems like I needed to do another one, so here we are with 6 more hidden gems on the Nintendo Switch. Hope you enjoy. Fighting Steel Infinity Warrior is a unique indie fighting game where you dive deep into the world of rock'em sock'em robots. Now, story-wise, in Fighting Steel, humans are extinct and the remaining beings left are Steel, which stands for Sentient Engineering Evolving Life Forms. And you wake up as one of these robots with no clue of who you are and what you're doing, and then you come across a female Steel or android named Artemis, and you two go on a mission to retrieve what's known as the legacy of humans. Now, that's the story of the game. We're not really here for the story, but just wanted to let y'all know that there is one when you play the story mode. But I know what y'all want to know. This is a fighting game, so is it fun throwing these hands? And I'm here to say that it is actually pretty fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this for the time that I've played it. And it's mostly due to the fact that this game really lets you customize to the T how you want your robot to fight. From the jump, you get to choose from a number of base set fight styles, which kind of affect just your basic moves. And each set kind of determines whether or not you might be more of an aggressive player, more defensive, close range, mid range. Each basic set kind of has its own kind of quirks to it. You can kind of fit to your fighting style, and in addition to the base set, you get 3 slots for special moves and 1 slot for a super move. And this is where it actually gets really fun and interesting, because the more that you play the game, whether it be in story mode, arcade, I believe also online, you gain currency that you can then spend in the shop, which lets you unlock more special moves and more super moves and a host of other customizable features. So essentially, the more you unlock, you just get to customize your character really to how you want them to fight. So you're gonna open up an array of kicks, throws, punches, counters. You got a lot to choose from to configure how you want to throw these hands. So you can really take time to customize your special moves to get them to fit your move set, and that in turn will help you chain combos differently. And it's not even just the moves you're customizing. You can customize your fighting pose, your intro, your victory pose, down to how you walk and how you crouch. Of course, you got options for skins as far as the look. As you can see, I made myself a killer robot squirrel. I was out here in these streets getting busy with my squirrel. If the customization seems a bit much and it's too much for you at once and you're overwhelmed, you can definitely just stick with the base set that they give you in the arcade mode or the story mode, and it's enough to get you a hold and you'll get a handle on the game, so you don't feel too overwhelmed. And then once you kind of just understand how the game plays, then you can definitely go into the shop and start customizing things and moving moves around and just giving yourself different move sets, different loadouts, and you'll figure out how it is that you want to fight. But I didn't feel like this game was really too hard to learn. Controls were responsive. If you're a fighting game fan, I feel like you'll be able to jump right into this. If you're not a fighting game fan, I feel like they did a pretty good job of explaining to you how all the mechanics and everything really works. And nah, man, this is a really good fighting game. I definitely think you should give it a try. Like I said, I love the customization and just the amount of moves that you can unlock, and it gives you so many options and so much to play with. So that is Infinity Warrior. I'm sorry, that is Fighting Steel Infinity Warrior. And if you're a fan of fighting games and you enjoy customization, then this might be something that is up your alley. Go throw these robot hands and go give this a try. I think you'll enjoy it. If you grew up playing retro games, especially retro action platformers, and you have not played Steel Assault yet, I'm gonna need you to go change that. This game was so much fun. It completely nails the retro look, the soundtrack, the gameplay. It encapsulates that entire retro vibe in a great package. In Steel Assault, you play as a resistance soldier named Taro Takahashi, who's basically on a quest to take down an evil dictatorship. Not too much going on crazy with the story, but in this kind of game, you don't really need a very deep story. Now, immediately when I started Steel Assault, the first thing I fell in love with was the soundtrack. It was slapping from the very beginning as soon as you cut it on. And secondly, this art style. I love this 16-bit pixel art. The environments look very well done. The stages are well crafted. Just the entire look and aesthetic of this game really hit for me. And Tero's weapon of choice is a whip that can also be enhanced with electricity, and you'll be using that to slap up enemies and large mechanical bosses and all kinds of just wild stuff that they throw at you in this game. But Steel Assault's most unique feature is actually in its platforming, because while you're traversing, one of the main mechanics you're going to be using is this little zip line. And the zip line is actually really dope because it helps you latch onto platforms, walls, and structures, and sometimes you'll need it just to like move upward or across a platform, but sometimes you need it in an actual boss fight to keep you from falling and ending up in the afterlife somewhere. It's a very simple mechanic, but I don't know what made the platforming so much more fun than I feel like platforming normally is. And as somebody who isn't as always as pinpoint with my jumps as I should be, this zip line definitely saved me on more than one occasion, so I appreciated it. And yeah, man, Steel Assault, this is just a very well done game. Everything from the action, the stage design, the boss fights are dope and creative, and like I said, the soundtrack has got slappers all over the place. This is just a very well crafted game. There wasn't a single moment me playing this where I was not having fun. It definitely hit those retro feels for me in a good way, and it also meant it's challenging. It has that retro aspect to it. It can be a little difficult at times, but it's definitely worth it. Now, if there were flaws about Steel Assault, I would say that I do think they kind of missed the ball on maybe giving you some additional upgrades, because outside of giving your whip the electric effect and there's a shield that you can get, there isn't much else really going on in terms of combat in the game. I would have loved to have been able to just maybe have some extra abilities with the whip, or maybe just extra weapons maybe you could pick up along the way. And also, Steel Assault is a pretty short game. Now, I enjoy short games, but I was hoping this could have maybe been like 1 or 2 stages longer. I did a full playthrough of this on my YouTube channel, which I'll link to, and I completed the entire game in a little under an hour and 30 minutes. Now, there is still replay value here if you want to go back, play it on a harder difficulty, or if you're really about that life, you can go to the arcade mode where you get 1 life and you got to complete the entire game. So good luck to you if you choose to do that. I didn't, but maybe you're better than me. But even with those flaws, Steel Assault, man, this game's really dope. If you enjoy retro games, if you enjoy that retro game style of action platformers, this will be right up your alley. Give this a look. You will not be disappointed. Anno Mutationem is a really dope cyberpunk action adventure game mixed with a few RPG elements, and this has you playing as Detective Anne Flores, now Anne's adventure through the metropolis of Scop City and various other areas that you'll be going through. Anne is trying to locate her missing brother, who got mixed up with the wrong crowd, and she is also trying to find answers about a mysterious illness that she suffers from. Now, because of spoilers, I won't go any deeper into the story, but that's pretty much the gist of it. And along Anne's journey, you're going to be meeting a host of interesting characters, doing some wild side story investigations, and you get to really just dive deep into the world of Scop City and this entire metropolis and all of its happenings. Now, the first thing that I noticed about Anno Mutationem that stuck out to me was the art style and the game's overall presentation. Definitely caught my eye because they have you as a 2D character moving across a 3D plane, at least in the exploration parts of the game. So when you're walking around the city and talking to folk, you'll be on the 3D plane, and then when it goes to the combat, it switches to the more traditional 2D side-scrolling. So I thought that was a really just unique touch on the game. And the combat Anne puts in work. She's got a pistol, light sword, and a heavy sword, and all of this can be upgraded with various perks, and Anne herself can also be upgraded, so you can do things like maybe give her additional ammo for her pistol. You can get some new moves and combos, and it's a pretty solid upgrade system. There are also items that you can craft, and speaking of upgrades, I won't spoil it, but there's some other stuff Anne can turn up in this game. I ain't gonna say nothing, but Anne can turn up, and Anne is strong. She is strong out here. She's out here. But exploring the world of Anno Mutationem was a really good time. I love this whole cyberpunk aesthetic. I'm kind of a sucker for anything cyberpunk. So I thought that Anno Mutationem really nailed the look and feel of just what a cyberpunk world should be like, from the vibrant colors of each city and even down to just the NPCs and the people that you talk to. This was a very well crafted world that felt like it was worth exploring. And kind of like that, if you want to, you can blaze through the main story, or you can take time to do some side missions. Go be a bartender, make some drinks, you know, kick it with the folks, mix and mingle among the commoners of the city. And nah, man, this was just a really fun 2D just cyberpunk adventure. It's not without flaws, at least on the Switch version. The Switch version did have a few bugs, some of which I believe have been patched, but you may still come across some here and there. And the loading screen felt a little bit much. Like when you're loading in between going to different areas, the loading screen to me felt like it was a little long. But other than that, I didn't really have much to complain about this game. The story, I thought, for the most part was pretty well done. It did get a little hard to follow at times towards the end, but for the most part, this is a very enjoyable experience for me. This was one of my favorite games the year that it came out. Like I said, I'm a sucker for the whole cyberpunk thing, so this was really up my alley. The combat and just the exploration, and I don't know, this was worth it for me, man. This game really hit for me. I would like to see this developer do maybe something else, another game similar to this. I thought this 2D on the 3D plane, and just like I said, the entire world they crafted down to the combat and all of the different kinds of moves that Ann can get. This was very well done. I definitely enjoyed Anno Mutationem. I did a little bit of somewhat of a more in-depth review of this on my channel, so I'll link that below if you want to give that a listen/watch. But yeah, this is Anno Mutationem. If you like cyberpunk stuff, if you want to go on a cyberpunk adventure, this might be for you. Go check it out. When it comes to action platformers, it honestly does not get much better than Unruly Heroes. Unruly Heroes is inspired by the Chinese literary piece Journey to the West, and it follows 4 unique heroes who must work together to recover pieces of a sacred scroll and, you know, put those pieces back together to keep the world from plunging into oblivion. And off top, the first thing you're gonna notice, I hope you notice, these visuals. Gorgeous. The colorful stage designs, the backgrounds, just down to the characters themselves. The art direction in this game is amazing. It is top notch, but it's not just the art direction that makes this game great. It excels also in the gameplay. Each hero has their own unique fighting style, and they're all good. They'll make you all want to use all of them, and you're actually gonna have to use all of them. Like I said, each character has their own unique style, so they have their own unique combos. You got, you know, combos and air attacks you can pull off. You got special moves. You got a super move that you can pull off. And what is actually really dope is you can switch between each character on the fly, and every character has their own health and like special meter bar, which I thought was really dope. So if you find yourself in a jam, maybe one character, maybe using the Sand Monk, he getting pieced up, go ahead, switch to Wukong, bring him in, and let him handle business. And I like also that when you're switching between characters, it's not just good for combat. You also have to use it for the platforming sections, because there are certain areas where you specifically need to use a certain character because of a special ability that they have, and it'll help you traverse and get through and get to, you know, the next area of the stage that you're going on. So I thought that was a nice touch of the game. And the platforming itself, in terms of like the stage design, is just, it's very well done. The platforming and the stages they're creative, they're kind of challenging. This game just executed everything at such a high level. And I love the variety of the 4 characters. They all have like the same inputs, but their play styles are different, so they feel different but familiar because the inputs don't really change, so you'll know what you're doing when you switch to each character. The combos are fun, the special moves are super dope, the animations look fire, everything is responsive. Even normally floaty jumping for me is a negative in platformers. This jumping is a little bit floaty, but I actually didn't mind it. Somehow it just it just worked. This game really nailed everything, man. This is a really good action platformer. Like I said, from the stage designs to the combat to the characters to the dialogue is pretty well done. Solid voice acting, not the greatest, but it gets the job done. Soundtrack also fire on the low. Nah, man, Unruly Heroes, this is a really good action platformer. If you have not got around to playing this yet, I would highly recommend it. The Eternal Castle Remastered is a very unique experience, and this is probably the one game on the list that I'm going to say this might not be for everybody, but I think if it's for you, it's definitely going to hit. Now, the Eternal Castle Remastered is definitely for retro fans, and when I say retro, I'm talking super retro. I'm talking MS-DOS CGA graphic retro. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. This is just, it's a little different. I'm probably gonna do a bad job at explaining this story, but from what I've gathered, you play as Adam or Eve, and your ship crashes on Earth, and now you have to travel through these 4 different areas of the game to get parts to repair your ship, and you're also searching for an AI unit that hasn't been heard from since it landed on Earth. Something like that. The game starts with this long text paragraph. Just read that. They probably explained it a lot better than I did. But Eternal Castle Remastered, as I mentioned earlier, has that look and retro feel, which can be a good and a bad thing. I think the good part is that the retro design in terms of how it looks, I think is awesome. I love these CGA graphics. I like the color palettes. They fit the atmosphere of each stage, whether it be the worn, torn, forgotten city or that wild, dark, and grim unholy church. I thought they really nailed the look, and even the retro parts. Some of the retro parts to me feel modernized. The meditation spots that you use as save points are pretty fair. They put you in some pretty decent places. The combat is basic. You get a simple punch, kick, and a roll that you can use for dodging. Get some blickies. You know, we got some pistols, assault rifles, shotguns, and you even get upgrades for your character that enhance things like your health and other attributes, and it physically changes them just slightly. And I thought the devs did a good job of sticking with that old school retro formula, but that also means that when you bring over that retro formula, you bring over that retro jank. That's what I like to call it, and the retro jank is definitely here. Now, I don't mind that in my games, but I know this might not be for everybody. So some of the platforming is not gonna feel as tight as you think it should be. Might feel a little off. The combat might feel just a little off, like the timing of certain things just might be a little weird, and the retro difficulty is definitely in full effect. This game has a bunch of just aha, whoa, bet you didn't see that there coming moments, and they're kind of trash. But like after they get you the first time, you know, they can figure out the next time you go there, so it won't be a surprise. But yeah, I just wanted to warn y'all about that, because it's definitely, the retro jank is definitely a thing in here, so it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I tend to enjoy these kind of things, so I was having a blast. And the good thing is the Eternal Castle Remastered is not a very long game. I would say depending on your skill set, you could finish this between 2 to 4 hours, and in that time they managed to crank out, I thought, a pretty solid game. Every stage felt unique in its own right. There was enough action and just things going on that kept me engaged. The boss fights were interesting, to say the least. I don't know, something about this just old school look really just kind of resonated with me, and even with the parts that were frustrating, I still more often than not found myself having a good time. And they also have post-credit content, or post-game content, I should say, which is actually pretty dope. It kind of extends the life of the game and gives you a reason to keep playing it after you finish. And like I said, this won't be for everybody. I think the Eternal Castle Remastered was aiming for a very specific crowd, and if you fit in that fan base, this will definitely be for you. But if you don't fit in that fan base, this might be a bit of a coin flip. But I would say if you're intrigued by anything you saw in this footage, I'm going to encourage you to give Eternal Castle Remastered a try. If not for anything else, it's going to be a much different experience from any other thing you're probably playing right now. So go check it out, man. Eternal Castle Remastered. It might be up your alley. So for the last game that I'm going to talk about in this video, I'm going to kind of cheat. I'm going to pair 2 games together because they are a part 1 and part 2, and that is The Fall and The Fall Part 2 Unbound. Also, for transparency purposes, I'll let you know that I finished The Fall Part 1, still working through Part 2, and the footage you're seeing is actually from the Wii U, because I had The Fall on the Wii U when it came out, but it is on the Switch, and the sequel you can only play on the Switch. Now, as far as the game goes, The Fall is a sci-fi puzzle adventure with a little bit of action mixed in. You play as an AI combat suit named Arid, who crashes onto a mysterious planet, and inside her combat suit is her human pilot, who is terribly hurt and unconscious, and Arid is basically on a mission to obtain health supplies so that she can save the pilot. And I can't say anything else about the story because this game is heavily narrative based, so you'll just have to discover the rest of it if you decide to check it out. The first thing that grabbed me about this game is the atmosphere. It is dark, it is gloomy, it is mysterious. It definitely gives me some Metroid vibes. It legit felt like I was playing through a sci-fi movie. And I say Metroid vibes because when you start the game, you do lose a lot of the abilities of your suit, and you kind of have to regain them again. So you're doing these tasks and you're solving these puzzles so that you can slowly start to get pieces of your suit back. You'll encounter other entities in this game, and it does have voice acting. I thought the voice acting was very well done in this. I saw another review, they complained about the voice acting. I completely disagree. I thought the voice acting in this was very well done. The puzzles I thought were pretty good. There is one specific puzzle involving a baby. I'm just going to say, if you can't solve that one, don't feel bad. You can look it up. That puzzle didn't make no sense. But the rest of these puzzles I thought were done pretty well. I really enjoyed just getting through the atmosphere of this game and the narrative as it unfolded. It really kept me engaged and wanting to play. I will say that the action in this game, it kind of takes a back seat. I don't think they were going for an action heavy game, and the action kind of feels like an afterthought. Like, you can shoot, you have a little cover system, very basic, and you can go into like a little stealth mode, and mostly through the game you're just going to be walking around picking up items and trying to figure out what goes where and just what you need to do to advance to the next area. Like I said, I was playing this on the Wii U, but luckily if you're playing this on the Switch, I believe they did improve the controls, because the Wii U controls were a little bit clunky, and I think they upgraded the graphics also, so you should have a much smoother experience than I did. And like I said, even though the action in this game is pretty basic, just the narrative and the atmosphere kept me intrigued, and for the most part I did enjoy the puzzles. Like I said, minus that baby puzzle was stupid, but everything about this game was enjoyable. I think this is a game for those who are more into narrative, because the action, I wouldn't lie to you, the action's not going to sell you on this game. This is definitely more narrative and puzzle based, and the action is just kind of there because you need it for certain parts of the game. It just makes sense to have it. But I really enjoyed this. As for the Fall Part 2, like I said, I won't spoil it, but I can say for the first few hours that I played of it, the Fall Part 2 definitely improved on the combat and the movement and the controls, and that's kind of all I'll say. But if you check this out and you like the Fall Part 1, I think because just how the story ends, you're gonna want to go play Part 2. But I can tell you that the controls and combat are a little bit better in Part 2, so you'll probably enjoy that one also. And the Fall is pretty short. This one's, I think, about 4 hours. From what I understand, the Fall Part 2 is about double or triple that time. So if you thought this ended too quick, go play the Fall Part 2. You'll have a much longer experience. Maybe when I finish that, I'll come back and do some kind of review or something. But nah, man, I really like this whole sci-fi creepy vibe going on. I thought the narrative was really good, and this was just a really solid just puzzle game. And y'all know me, I'm not really a puzzle person, but there was enough here that just kind of kept me intrigued, and I kept wanting to play to see how this story was going to unfold. So if you want some sci-fi creepy vibes in your life, check out the Fall. And if you like the Fall, go check out the Fall Part 2, Unbound. These might be right up your alley, and you should give them a look. Well, that is all I got for today's video. Let me know if you are interested in any of these hidden gems on the Switch, and drop your own gems in the chat of games that you think the rest of us should be checking out. If you didn't see part 1 of this hidden gem series, I will leave a link below so you can go check that out. But thank you all for watching. Y'all stay safe, y'all stay hydrated, and I will catch y'all on the next video.